Overcoming spiritual injury is the surprising journey back to you and your life purpose. And spiritual injury is often a journey to your spiritual awakening. In this video, we're going to talk about learning to overcome these spiritual injuries and the number one block to moving on. So stay tuned. Well, hi there and welcome. My name is Remy, like Do Re Mi. I'm a best-selling author and creator of the Get Unstuck Revolution. I help extraordinary women with big-ass dreams just like you who want to get unstuck from a life that doesn't work and get to where you know you need to be, into a life that's filled with passions and purpose. Now let's get started with today's episode. Okay, let me jump off the screen here and change over to my laptop. What's blocking your spiritual awakening? Because it isn't the butterflies and dancing elves that we'd hoped for. There's one block that just about everybody has, and our ego will hang on to it for dear life as it tries to protect itself and also keep us safe. Overcoming this is part of the reason we're here on earth, and it's how we're going to align with our purpose, with who we're meant to be, and our journey to success. This is why we talk so much about shedding the doubts, frustrations, and confusion that plague us so we can get on with our life and have the experiences we're dreaming of. If you aren't getting the success you want in full abundance, however you identify with success, and if you're wanting to tap into a greater knowingness and align with higher frequencies so that you can attract the success you're craving, then this episode is for you. Maybe it's time to open up to your hidden power and create something unimaginable, something totally unreasonable, something that maybe even seems impossible, to kick your whole life and all your success into high gear for whatever success means for you. And today, I'm going to try and get you one step closer. As business owners, change makers, thought leaders, innovators, disruptors, or even if we haven't found the right fit in the world yet, whether we're talking about our relationships at home or at work, or when we're talking about our finances, sometimes we find that we're moving away from success. So how do we overcome this? How can we find the clarity and courage we need so that we can unlock our hidden power? Well, it's time to be unabashedly, unapologetically, happily untethered to the ego thinking that can sabotage our success. It's time to tap into our soul connection instead, so we can broadcast our hidden power from the hilltops and advance our soul's agenda. This episode is for you if you wonder what exactly is spiritual injury and how is it related to invalidation. I mean, who among us hasn't been invalidated? And who among us hasn't become blocked because of that invalidation? And number two that we're going to talk about today, what's blocking your spiritual awakening? In all my research, there's one thing that fleshes out every single time. And the number three thing we're going to talk about today is what can we learn from spiritual injury so that we can get ourselves back if we get lost? And if you aren't experiencing it right now, if you aren't having any invalidation in your life right now, I'll be willing to bet that you know someone who is. So just think about what a help you can be for them. So these episodes are about how to find your hidden power when you want to transform challenges into successes. I like to call it the audacity of alchemy. Because when we're feeling stuck, it's never the situation that has us stuck. It's our energy that's become stuck in doubts, worries, frustrations, indecision that can come from life's challenges, especially because of a spiritual injury we've experienced, some kind of a hidden trauma that's interrupting our soul's work. We can dissolve the obstacles in our path with a simple shift in energy. We can get out of doubt and move on with our life because our choice of frequency changes the course of our journey so that we don't get stuck in the negative vibrations that block our success. These positive energies that we talk about so much here are where we find the magic of alchemy. And using our hidden power means using these positive energies to effect transformation. So let's talk about spiritual injury. You know, overcoming spiritual injury is the surprising journey back to you and your life purpose. And learning to overcome these injuries is part of the reason that we're here on earth, and it's how we're going to align with our purpose. This is why we talk so much about shedding these negative energies like doubts, frustrations, and confusion that can plague us so that we can get on with our life and live the life that we're meant to live. Now, you know, there's a lot of talk out in the communities around life coaches and therapists that before we can implement any strategy for success, we always want to start by undoing our story. Why is that? Why do so many life coaches and business coaches and therapists want to start with your story? Well, it's because so many of us get stuck in our story. We want to move on, but our story keeps pulling us back in. So some of the experts out there want to start with undoing our story, but I don't want to start there. Why? Well, because I found that while some people are stuck in their story, other people simply don't understand the purpose of their story. Not yet. But they're ready to move on. And knowing that the meaning will reveal itself all in due time gives us a little bit of breathing room. And that's the thing about life lessons. Sometimes we don't get the full meaning until it's all behind us. All the more reason to step outside of the story. And that's why I don't always like to undo the story first. I actually prefer to talk about vision and life purpose and what you're wanting to create before we settle in and talk about your story behind the spiritual injury. And there's one more thing. So many people don't even realize they're sitting on top of a spiritual injury to begin with. So it helps to look toward what we're creating for the future. It almost makes it feel a little bit safer to look at what's behind us. Because what's keeping you stuck is what's keeping you safe. And being stuck in that story has an element of safety in it because it's become such a habit over time. We've been tolerating that pain. So if we can begin to create a future first, we're also at the same time creating a new level of safety. Make sense? Okay, so let's move on to this number one block that gets in the way of success. And, you know, in all my research around life purpose, I've discovered that the number one block to spiritual awakening or finding your life purpose or living your life purpose to the fullest is a spiritual injury, specifically invalidation. So that's where we're going to start today, is with invalidation. But before we do, let me introduce you to one of my favorite quotes from my friend Chuck Getchell. Those who know the least know it the loudest. What does that mean to you? Those who know the least know it the loudest. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about ghosting and how ghosting is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is just another way of saying spiritual injury. And invalidation definitely falls into this category. I mean, how invalidating is it to your spirit when someone just cuts off all communication? But today we're talking about a different kind of invalidation, something a little more overt. Have you ever found somebody in your ear invalidating you, constantly telling you what you can or can't do, what will or won't work, or putting pressure on you to hurry up and make a success out of something? You know how that voice seems to settle into your own brain until it almost seems to be your own voice, and then you start beating yourself up? That loud voice seems to live in the depths of your soul. But the thing is, if you think about it, it isn't your voice. It was someone else trying to run your life. And in their attempts to keep their focus off their life, they literally had to talk louder. Make sense? Those who know the least know it the loudest. So here's a quick exercise for you. Take a second here and stop and think about where you've seen this happen. Where have you ever noticed someone being really loud to try and keep focus off their life, off of their shortcomings, and they almost have an insane need to control you? If you've ever experienced this, where somebody was in your ear invalidating you, constantly telling you what you can or can't do, or what will or won't work, or putting pressure on you, or bullying you, then you know exactly what invalidation feels like. So that's the basic idea. And I'd like to go a little bit deeper on this, especially since invalidation is the number one thing that seems to block our success, our purpose in life, and even our general well-being. Talk about an obstacle. Invalidation, boy, that's a big obstacle. But before we go there, I just want to take a minute for this little reminder right here. If you already know that you're ready to dissolve life's obstacles that are on your path to success, if you already know that you're ready to do your soul's work and be a creator, then you might be ready for this amazing new tool to get you moving into some better patterns and frequencies where success can find its way to you. It's called the Alchemy Matrix, and it's going to help you, as they say, create your destiny. It's an interactive roadmap designed to help you solve problems, dissolve barriers, heal spiritual injuries, and bring in a lot of clarity so you can create a future that you'd like to see. Just a brief reminder that you can sign up to learn more about the Alchemy Matrix at successcircleworkshops.com. I promise to tell you more about that in just a minute. For now, we're talking about invalidation. You know, everyone experiences invalidation at some point in their lives. Of course, sometimes we're pretty clever at ignoring it or sweeping sweeping it under the rug because we don't want to give it any energy, and that's a good thing. But if we aren't careful, invalidation can creep into our life, and if we aren't careful, can really steal our spirit. We've talked about this before, but a quick review, well, it always helps. Invalidation is when someone takes you down a notch by branding you unreasonable, illogical, or wrong. And they can do this any number of ways: by pretending that you don't exist, refusing to believe you, ignoring your needs, or simply by telling you either outright or through their actions that you don't matter. The result? You feel discredited, crippled, even totally nullified. And this can set up a lifetime of low self-confidence. Have you ever experienced this? Maybe you know someone who's going through it right now. On a deeper level, anything that affects you at your core that feels like it shatters your soul would be considered a full-on spiritual injury. It's a form of trauma. Now, trauma can be a big T or a little t, so with invalidation, sometimes we can recover pretty quickly because our own self-confidence is in pretty good shape. But when that invalidation pierces us, when it shatters our soul, and when we find that, man, no matter what, we just can't seem to get beyond it for whatever reason, that's where it goes from invalidation to spiritual injury. Now, there's really no way to give invalidation its due without being offensive, because when you get right down to it, invalidation is offensive. It takes you in all your strength and glory and greatness, and it cuts you off at the knees. Have you ever gone into a relationship pretty much bursting with your own natural exuberance, feeling great, living in the middle of what feels like hundreds of your own exclamation points, and sharing that love and excitement with whoever was lucky enough to cross your path? You know how that is when everything is new and life is full of promise and possibility. But by the time the relationship ended, whether it's a work relationship or a love relationship or a friendship, maybe you came out a complete and total mess with all the passion and energy of wilted flowers. Because of the invalidation, because of the abuse that pierced you at your core, it can feel like your soul is shattered. You may still be the same person, but where did your self-esteem go, and who took it away? Well, you guessed it. Invalidation can rip at the very fiber of your being and leave you like an empty shell. Now, believe it or not, I've discovered in my research that invalidation, spiritual injury, is that number one reason that people get stuck in finding or living their life purpose. It's the number one thing that blocks spiritual awakening. It's the number one thing that blocks our success. And at the same time, overcoming invalidation is the number one thing that can blow success wide open for however you define success. So we always want to look for the blessings inside of spiritual injury. Overcoming spiritual injury is a surprising journey back to you and your purpose for being here, to overcome and transcend ego thinking. Learning to overcome these injuries is part of the reason we're here on earth, and it's how we're going to align with our purpose as a creative vibrational being who can transform these challenges into blessings. This is why we talk so much about shedding the doubts, frustrations, and confusion that our ego wants to plague us with so we can get on with our life and live the life we're meant to live. Our spiritual awakening occurs when we can let go of ego thinking so that the spirit within can rise up. So here's your exercise for today. I'd like you to take a moment to think of a time when someone invalidated you, when they made you feel like you don't matter. Is there someone in your environment right now? And if not, do you know someone else who's going through this right now? And next, I'd like you to jot down the effects of validation. Has it affected your self-esteem, your focus? Has it kept you on a plateau that's been hard to break out of, like your ability to make the kind of money you want or the success you'd like to reach? And next, what kind of personal policy can you create so that as you're fulfilling your purpose in life, as you're ascending, you can be sure this kind of thing won't affect you? Notice I didn't say so that it won't happen again, because it likely will. But how can you be sure that if someone tries to invalidate you, it won't affect you? It won't turn into a spiritual injury. And so that's your exercise for today as we create a flow of positive possibilities to fulfill your soul's work and the growth and awakening that your soul is seeking. And we create that flow for your success. All that's required from you is a shift in frequency. because your choice of frequency can change the course of your journey. And this shift toward a higher frequency is really what the spiritual awakening journey is all about in so many respects. Well, I hope this helps you as you're using the powers of alchemy to transform challenges and obstacles into positive new successes. But if you still can't get your head around what's got you stuck, you can tell me about it. You can leave a message or a question right here, or if you're someone who has the audacity, the willingness to take bold risks to transform challenges into success, you can find out more about our events at successcircleworkshops.com. This is where you can learn more about the audacity of alchemy and how to unlock your hidden power. You'll get a personalized interactive roadmap that's custom designed to get you unstuck by unlocking your hidden power to create big, magical changes. You'll learn to solve problems, dissolve barriers, and bring success to you. So don't wait. Go to successcircleworkshops.com and get your personalized Alchemy Matrix package right now. And here's what you'll get: a full color workbook filled with hands-on exercises to inspire your creative energies, membership in your very own success circle for high-level masterminding and networking, your very own customized alchemy matrix to unlock your hidden power and bring success to you, and your very own personal unstuckologist. Remember, the alchemy matrix is the only tool of its kind, and it's only available here. So if you're ready to approach your life's challenges with audacity, if you're ready to finally banish frustration, indecision, and the negative spiral, if you're ready to watch success materialize right before your eyes, then go to successcircleworkshops.com and get your personalized Alchemy Matrix package now and watch the magic start to happen. Thanks for joining me today, and I'm wishing you a life filled with all the alchemy you need to bring success to you. Feel free to share this video with anyone you know who's feeling stuck, and I look forward to seeing you in one of our upcoming success circles. You can find out more at successcircleworkshops.com.